Hello, everyone. I welcome you again to this episode of our mental health series. But today, we want to take a different step of dimension of engaging our guest within our midst now. Today, we'll be looking more about his life journey, how it all started, most especially his undergraduate level experiences. This interview or interaction is not just a mere interaction, but it is going to serve a purpose of growth, discovery for young ones out there in the university that is trying to find a balance in their academic life and in their relationship life. And this man is said to be one of Ghana's finest clinical psychologists, neuropsychologists. He happens to be a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast and is no other than anybody at all but our guest, Dr. Daniel Nieza. Doc, you're welcome again to this set.
Thank you for having me, Humphrey.
It's been a while.
Yes, we are back.
Yeah. So Doc, let's start it this way. Can you briefly tell us how it all started, right from your childhood before entering into the graduate, or let me say the undergraduate level or the university? Can you just give us a brief summary of how your life began, your ambitions and goals? Just brief.
Well, we, of course, will focus on undergraduates,
Yeah.
but childhood, just like any kid goes to school,
Yeah.
I was also schooling. But
Okay.
I think that the turning point for me was many, many different issues, We had rich people in our area who
Okay.
buy books for the awards, What I did was to be friends with those rich kids.
Wow.
And I go to their homes, and then the books that is bought for them, I'll go and borrow it.
I see.
And I'll tell you, give me one day, I'll bring it back. So I'll go and read, and then I'll send it back to them. So that's how I got the rich people's children to read.
Wow.
Right? So that was the beginning for me.
Wow.
The turning point to becoming serious with academia or with education was fine. People knew I was good in school and all of that. But I met this senior of mine who spoke to me and told me that, hey, I've heard you are very good. But what I want from you is that I want you to be very serious. I see you do a lot of comedy and jokes. I don't like joking in this. Like, I want you to be serious if it's what you want. You want to be my friend, I want to see seriousness because I get close to you. So that was the turning point for me. And I wanted to get close to him because I heard he was good academically and I wanted to learn from him and all of that. So I started getting serious.
Wow.
And reducing all the jokes and all of that. So that was the beginning for me. So I came to uni.
Wow. Interesting. Doc, every child growing up have this kind of, life they want to live or ambition or goal. When I was growing up, I said to myself, I want to be a doctor. But here lies the case. I'm a student of clinical psychology. Did you have a dream of such sort?
I was asked in DHS2, one of our madams spoke to her. She said, I want you guys to get up and tell me what you become in the future. Because I see you don't have any ambition. So everybody brought up, one by one, you have to tell her what you want to become in the future and promise her that you can do it. When it got to my turn, I said, I want to be a doctor.
Wow.
And because I was the most intelligent kid in class, everybody was happy. It's going to be a doctor. But they never really stopped to ask me the kind of doctor I wanted. Whether a pure medical doctor, clinical psychologist, or whatever. But somehow, I never really liked the idea of becoming a medical doctor.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought it was a very tedious job, something that I don't have the personality trait to really do. So the kind of doctor I wanted to be was never being a medical doctor. So growing up, when someone told me about clinical psychology, I watched movies, I saw clinical psychology, I saw the nature of work. I said, yeah, that's the kind of doctor I want to be.
Wow.
So I decided to become a clinical psychologist or neuropsychologist way back in, say, SHS.
Okay.
Before I even got to uni.
Wow.
Yes. So
wow. Interesting. It's every child's dream to become a doctor. I know you too, you wanted to become a doctor. So Doc, let's fast forward. Let's move from JHS, SHS. Let's enter into the university now.
Right.
Yes. What university did you attend? What program did you study? And what inspired your decision?
So I attended this university, University of Cape Coast, and I offered a Bachelor of Science in Psychology.
Oh.
Yes, so that's the program I offered.
Okay. So was there any inspiration behind offering?
The inspiration to do Bachelor of Science in Psychology was from a senior of mine
Okay.
who attended the University of Ghana, and he read psychology. So I got to know, and I went to him to ask him before I came to uni to come and do a degree in psychology. And he told me that, hey, this course will make you a doctor. So I'm a clinical psychologist. At that time, I didn't really know much. Come a clinical psychologist will make you a doctor. It's a very good course. And then he told me after his degree, he's going to actually do it.
Wow.
So he was the inspiration. He was the one who motivated me to get into it, and I got into it. Unfortunately, by the time I finished my degree, he died.
Wow.
He died because after his degree in Legon, he was fighting over a woman with some other local boys in Takrady. And he gave birth with that lady, but still the local boys said that the lady is out, leaving. But and then he didn't leave, and then went to visit again. They ambushed him and then beat him to death. He became a national news actually. So I lost a bit of motivation, given that the one who led me into it died before I finished. I was in level 300 or 400 now.
Wow.
So that was the person who motivated me to go into BSc Psychology.
Wow, Doc. So, Doc, let's look at your first year experience coming to the university. Did you report it on the same day?
I am very punctual.
Oh, okay.
I will come whenever you say we should come. So I was there. First day for medicals, first day to come and ride in. Let's get going.
Wow.
Yes.
So lectures you reported on the first day to lecture.
I written, I will just be there. You dare not call me for something, or you dare not enroll me in something. If I know, my policy is that if you don't want to do something, don't do it. If you want to do it, go all out, So that is me. If you call me for a course, you call me for anything. If I say I'll come and I'm there, I'm in. There's nothing like, I don't feel like going today, maybe tomorrow. No. I'm not that type of person.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been through it.
Wow. So, Doc, I know we've heard a lot about you in terms of your academic achievements. I was much excited when I heard that you were once a valedictorian. To be a valedictorian is not easy. Overall best student, graduating student. That is more of the highest, achievements for a student. Yes. And looking at you right from the background to this point, like, how were you able to do that? Like, what is this unique, strategy you can share to us?
Right. To be the best, overall best student for the whole university comes with work, of course. And for me, I would say first was motivation.
Wow.
I became something that Ghanaians would say too known. Okay. And I told my mates when we came to level 100, I said that don't disturb yourself. I'll be the best in this batch till we finish. So don't even think about it.
I see.
For the next 4 years of your life, I'm going to rule UC University. So I told them even before we started writing quizzes at the exam, and people said, yeah, easy. There are many people who are good, so why do you think you can't be that person? I just kept quiet and went on, started working towards it.
Wow.
But I think that you need to be a man of your words.
Okay.
And you need to follow your words with action. So when I told them, I then said, now I started going to Kwame Nkrumah Hall, library, study. When I'm tired, I come and sleep. I go back. People will say that, oh, when people come here, that's what they do. They don't do well, But I wanted to disprove them and make them know that I work and I have to see results for the work that I do.
Wow.
So when I put in the work, right from first semester, I started getting very good grades, very high grades. Like 3.9s, like 0.0s. I started getting them in 100. So that was how I did it.
Wow. So Doc, let's look at being an academically brilliant student in the university, perhaps in class. How were your colleagues relating to you? Were they seeing you as a god? Yes, can you share some of the funny and then interesting time with your colleagues?
They won't see you as a god, of course. They would wonder why they study like you.
Okay.
But you are always getting, the good grades more than them.
Wow.
So that was the biggest thing for them.
Wow.
Some people come to me and say that I've been learning hard like you do, but I don't get the good grades.
Wow.
You see, there are too many different styles to learn. Some of us learn by sitting on the book, reading and say, then you learn. But are you learning for understanding? Are you even checking that the things that you are learning are in your head? Indeed. I will stop to ask myself questions and try to provide answers to them.
Okay.
I will stop to read the information and also think about it to gain greater understanding. If you put getting understanding and then reading the information verbatim together, a student should be good. But what we do find is that many students would rather do the verbatim reading. Word by word reading, and they think they've learned something.
Okay.
So when the lecturers change the question or ask for understanding kind of question, applied kind of questions, that's where you see many students suffering.
Yeah.
But those who learn for understanding and also verbatim, put it together, they have to excel for sure.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So dog, that means that you could do chew and pour too.
There's no learner in the, rote learning is actually the beginning of learning. And rote learning, that's true. The one we call chew and pour, that's the right thing. Rote learning. You can't be a learner and say that you don't do any rote learning. There are things in academics you need to get it by rote learning.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's the first step. But the highest step is trying to understand the information that you are reading.
Wow. What's this? We know you're a valedictorian, but what was your CGP when you completed?
3.9 something.
Wow. 3.9, it's not easy. Even in today UCC, to get 3.9, it's never an easy task than the then UCC. We know that intellectually brilliant people, their name tags we place on them, we label them
on campus.
On campus. I don't know whether those times during your time you had a name. Were they calling you a wizard, a saint? I don't know. What share with us?
Well, quite often when a student performs at a higher level like that, many students on campus will say that prof, because professors are very intelligent. So I got that people were calling me prof.
Wow.
But my most popular name was given to me by some Ashanti friends of mine. And they told me a story about a guy who will go and write, quizzes and the examiner will not do well. He comes back to the room and tells the friend, they will say, oh, it shall be well.
Wow.
And in the local language, they will say, oh, ebefa. And one day they said the guy came and then he said that he got poor grades again. And he's saying that, you be a mokase ebefa, but I'm foul. So that was funny. And then we all laugh over it. But when I was performing, those friends decided to use that name for me, Ebefa. So they started calling me Ebefa.
Wow.
And that was the name that was very, very popular.
Wow, for me. Wow, interesting. So Doc, let's take a flip side now. We know you are academically good. There is this notion that runs in the university that mostly academically brilliant people usually have few friends. We want to look at your social life, your friendship. Did you ever had friends, or were you that friendly on campus?
Well, everyone on campus was my friend. That was a strategy.
Wow.
In actual life, I would not like many friends.
Okay.
But for the sake of academic performance, I make friends with everybody on campus.
I see.
The reason being that there are certain things, questions that maybe tomorrow you have to go and write a test. You need a friend that will show you a book and say that, hey, check this question out. When you check it, maybe that's what you see tomorrow.
Wow.
So because of that strategy, I decided to be friends with everybody. So if someone finds a question they never shared with me, another person will find a question that they will share with me.
Okay.
So that means I never lack, Wow. Yeah, so my skill on that one was to be friends with everybody on campus. Just saying hi or giving a smile to someone, saying Charlie to someone, it doesn't take anything from you. So I was friends to everybody.
I see. Yeah. That was friends. So the way partying with friends or
partying, I won't come. Call me for this reaction, I'll come. Call me for to watch football together. Okay. So those were my interests. Let's go and watch football together. I'll come. Let's go and do some debate on campus. That one I will come. Or partying. Naturally, I don't like ones.
So based on that, most students really focus much on academics when they come to school. They want to do well. When they are from home, get into school, it's the wish of the parents that my son, my daughter will come out with flying colors. And then they come to school, they only focus on academics. Were you a type that engaged in only your academics, or you were into extracurricular activities as well?
I never did any extracurricular activities. Okay, maybe Playing soccer with friends.
All right.
Yes, I will do that just a few times. But beyond that, I won't really participate in, say, politics.
Okay.
Or take on a role, a course rep, I never really wanted to be in the spotlight. Yeah, so extracurricular, apart from playing soccer with friends and maybe watching football with friends or making debates on campus, nothing more.
Wow. Wow. So now let's look at this aspect of your life.
Right.
We know on campus, people will say we have the diverse kind of people. We have a lot of tribes. We have a lot of religion. Like there are diversity here,
Of course,
on campus. Yeah. And, most people really are of the view that this place is the best place for you to find your lover, or let me say your marriage partner. So, Doc, share with us, did you have any girlfriend?
big issue.
It's a big issue, I know.
Maybe we could have done some relationships and all of that. But okay, my personal decision was relationships I thought would take your attention from the main goal, which was
Academics, all right.
So for me to do a relationship on campus was not a thing for me.
Okay.
I don't think it's a bad thing though. So but for me, I was so focused that I thought being in a relationship, the biggest thing for me that I was scared that a girl would give me a broken heart. And if you got to know that if you have a broken heart, maybe you cannot steady.
Wow.
Because you'll be in an emotional pain
Yeah.
and all of that, and it disturbs you from studying. So
Wow.
I was so poised on my goal that I never really want to get a broken heart true relationship.
Wow.
And therefore not be able to study.
Wow. That's very interesting, and yeah. So dog, even if it's not a girlfriend, I'm sure there were some ladies that were coming up, coming up to you. Were there times that maybe you had this lady of yours that was showing so much interest in you, and how were you able to keep them in check? Yes, how
I would have interest in ladies, and then I would have other ladies who might be interested in me.
exactly?
But the stubborn one will be me, who will not make it a start, because protect your heart and get your focus on, right? Protect your heart and get your focus on. Yeah, I never really wanted any. You see, relationship comes to a lot of lengths.
That's true.
And I know many very excellent students who have been destroyed by relationships. I had a mate who had a broken heart from a girl, couldn't study, was making all the field grades and all of that. So I thought, protect yourself, man. Sure, you don't get broken at it. After school, there's a lot of opportunity to do relationship.
I see.
So that was my policy.
I see.
Yeah.
So Doc, let's look at something from as a student and your lecturers. Yeah. How well were, sometimes when you're academically good, some lecturers will be, getting close, getting to find you. Were you that kind of student where lecturers were trying to find out who is this student at all? Or who is what like, getting to understand what is behind the students? Were you that, being drawn by lecturers?
Well, in my time, not many lecturers knew me as in personally.
Right.
I think that they knew me pretty much through my performance.
Okay.
So some of them would ask fellow students, who is this guy, and then try to use my, but on a personal level, they didn't know me.
Wow.
Mostly, because I was really quiet in class. Okay, pretty much. Once upon a time, I will answer a question in class, but I'm not one of the habitual question, people who like to answer a lot of questions in class. So because of that, they knew me by performance, but they didn't know the person behind it. Unless a lecturer who is very curious who asks, and they will say that this is the guy, right?
Oh, okay.
So that was me.
Wow. So Doc, let's look at your studying. Were you that kind of person who used to study at night during the day or whatever? Yes.
I will study anytime I feel like studying. I study based on my feelings, Yes, when I feel like go and study, I'll go.
Wow.
Yes, it's all my feelings. So I never really even have a timetable that I would say that, okay, I have a timetable this time. No. I can't learn with a timetable.
Wow.
I will learn based on my feeling, based on the circumstances. I feel like there are quizzes coming, there's an exam coming. Maybe they will ask us to do this. So I just go with the flow. was study. And it's not like night or day. I can study anytime.
Wow.
If I have to study in the night, I will study. If I feel like studying in the day, I will study. So it's not really about day or night.
Wow. You know, Doc's experiences is communicating a lot to us. And one of the things that I'm trying to understand, I'm yet to understand about Doc. And in fact, let me ask him, Doc, would you define yourself as a gifted child?
Gifted.
Yes.
Well, in my personal understanding, I don't think, or I don't believe in the ideas of someone is gifted and all of that. It's there.
Is there
Scientifically, we know that some people are gifted, but I never put that in my mind.
in your mind?
That I'm a gifted person. If I do, I think that will make me not work hard and then I go down.
Wow.
So I put myself on the same level like any student in the class. And that which will separate us is hard work.
Okay.
So work hard, learn, make sure you don't pile up your notes,
Okay.
answer questions, all these kind of things. I'll do it.
Okay.
And I'll do it and come in humbly, willing
Mm.
to attempt the questions that will come.
I
Not
see.
come in thinking I'm a gifted person. And then for me, some people were doing that actually, who will say that, oh, I think I'm smart, I'm gifted. And then if I don't study and it's last day, I can't study, I'm going to do well. Those people, it affected their performance.
Wow.
So quite often for me, I will not even think about myself as a gifted person. I'll think about myself as any other student.
Wow.
But what do I have to do to get there?
Okay.
That is my start.
We know that the intellectually brilliant people sometimes they find it difficult joining or mingling in group, studies. I don't know that for you. Were you the kind of person who would want to share? Were you the kind of person who want to find yourself in the group studies to share, whatever you've learned in class just to help?
Well, I in the 100, I didn't join any group.
Okay.
But after the 100, some mates came to me and told me that, hey, I study like you, but I don't get the group base. So we want us to form a group. So I was in a group with them, and basically they came that I teach them in the group, and they started doing well. But I got to a point we had issues in the group in terms of commitment and all of that. I stopped that group, and then I would rather, maybe level 3 and 400, to do one-on-one discussion with some female friends who were also very good, right? Meaning that I prioritize discussions and the idea of sharing idea, because I knew that I can't know it all.
Yeah.
And sharing, you learn a lot from sharing ideas with your fellow mate. And that's something that really helped me for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Doc, let's look at the effectiveness of group studies in terms of the end of the undergraduate, journey. There are some students who believe that they have a particular goal. So they work together. The group studies is to get a first class. And then all of them eventually they had a first class. Myself too, I was in the group studies. All of us, the 5 of us, we ended up having a first class. So to your case, can we know whether after completing school or during graduation, all the friends that you are talking about, that you studied, you help, you share information, were you all in the first class zone?
All of us in first class except one person who had upper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
let's say 90% or 99% at first class.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Doc, that means that group studies is very much effective.
Very important. Group studies are very important. The university education should make you collaborate.
Okay.
Share ideas with your mates.
Okay.
Learn from your mates.
Okay.
And in group study, I think you are pretty much learning from peer tutoring. So there are things that your lecturer will teach you will understand. When a colleague teaches you, you get a deeper understanding. So that is what we get from group study.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Doc, we've seen that you are very much engaged in academics. And we know academics is very stressful. Yes. And students out there, one of their biggest issues is academics and how they can balance is to have a very good mental health. So with you, what were some of the challenges as being an undergraduate student at the NUCC, and how were you able to overcome these challenges and stress that accompanied studies?
Well, so every student, you go through some mental challenges. They test anxiety. No matter who you are, once upon a time you experience test anxiety. There are tests that or exams that will come. You see that this paper, I am so anxious about it.
Wow.
Maybe you didn't get enough time to prepare, right? Maybe you think the lecturer is a very tough lecturer. Maybe you are just feeling that you will not do well. So test anxiety, we all went through it, but for me, when we are test anxious, let it not affect your performance. So I will experience the test anxiety, all right, but I'll still go in there to perform.
Wow.
Right? Because I have my stuff in my head.
Yeah.
And when the paper comes, I will prove to the paper that I can do it. Some people, unfortunately, test anxiety, they will experience it and that will prevent them from performing in the exam.
Wow.
Because the fear is there, and then because of the fear, they even forget what they've learned.
I see.
Fortunately for me, I wasn't that type. I can experience test anxiety, but still will be able to remember everything I've learned and then write them down, right? When it comes to academic stress, I think that when students start piling notes, when students decide not to learn ahead of time, that is when they experience a lot of academic stress.
That's true.
Because then everything will come up together and you have a day or two to learn everything. You would experience academic stress the more. How I would deal with that is to make sure that every day I will learn something small. Little by little, will make sure that I conquer the load and therefore I will not have pressure on me, which can lead me into academic stress.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Doc, that means that you were more of a proactive learner.
Yeah. Prepare ahead of time. I don't like that kind of last minute stuff.
Wow.
Last minute we are now going to learn. I don't believe in that. Yeah, I believe in prepare ahead of time.
So Doc, what is this, advice? What is this best, let me say, yes, advice or solution or your take home for students out there in the various university that they can use or they can take as a take-home point to better their life as far as their studies is of concerned?
The take-home point is that why did you come to the university?
Okay.
You came to learn. You came to build a career, start the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
That purpose, that primary purpose should never be thrown away.
Wow.
Because if it's thrown away, then there's no point in you coming to the university.
Okay.
So ensure that you are learning. Ensure that you are learning ahead of time. Ensure that if there are extracurricular activities, you will still focus more on your studies.
Wow.
Or that's why you came. If not, you would have gone to learn a trade. But if you've come to school to learn, you learn. Learn ahead of time. Go for the lectures, right? Study hard and make sure that you don't, wait to the last minute before you learn, which can lead to poor performance. There are many students who are very good, but they just don't know how to study in the university. One way that they can study is to make sure that they learn the skill or the style of every lecturer and know how to study in that way. Some lecturers will demand you go to a library and learn, read other notes, add up to whatever notes they give you. Some will just, based on the notes that they give you, know what the lecturer wants and learn in that way. And you are going to get really good grades.
Wow.
Yes.
But I'm believing that this interaction has been purposeful for you. It has served as a relevance for you to have discovery over what you have to do as a student in order to achieve academic height. Thank you for joining us and see you in our next episode.